Good morning, students. Now, today we are having our second part of physiology of vision. In this diagram, you can see a small cross section is shown. On the right side, you can see the layers of the retina are depicted. This retina is a thin, semi-transparent, multi-layered sheet of neural tissue which lines the inner aspect of the posterior two-thirds of the globe, and it terminates anteriorly at the ora serrata. Now, this is the posterior pole. Posterior pole is the portion which is seen when we see a dilated fundus. At one go, we can see this. You can see all the red and the blue veins are converging at one side. This is the optic disc, and in the left side, you can see the fovea and the macula, which is a pigmented portion. So, this is known as the posterior pole. Now, the reddish ones are the arterioles and the bluish ones are the veins. Now, retina, it extends anteriorly, almost reaching the ciliary body. It contains visual receptors, which are the rods and the cones. These rods and cones, they synapse with the bipolar cells, which again synapse with ganglion cells. Amacrine cells connect the ganglion cells to each other. Axons of the ganglion cells, then they converge to form the optic nerve. Now, optic disc, it is a point where the optic nerve leaves the eye and the blood vessels enter. Here you can see this portion is the optic disc, the rounded portion where all the blood vessels are converging. They are entering and the optic nerve is leaving. Now, the optic disc is a blind spot. It does not contain any visual receptors. It consists of over 1 million axons from the nerve fiber layer of the retina. 80% consists of visual fibers synapse on axons that terminate in the occipital lobe of the brain. Now, this optic disc is part of the central nervous system and it will not regenerate if it is severed. Here you can see the macula and the fovea centralis. At the center you can see a pigmented area. This is the macula, and the center of the macula is the fovea centralis. It is a depression. What is macula lutea? It is a yellowish area near the posterior pole. It marks the location of the fovea centralis. This area is responsible for central detailed vision. This is very important. This area is responsible for central detailed vision. Now, fovea centralis is a thin rod-free cone-packed area. Here no rods are present, only cones are present. Each cone synapses with a single bipolar cell. It contains no blood vessel and it has maximum visual acuity. So, if there is any problem in the fovea centralis or the macula, the patient's visual acuity drastically drops. Now, the layers of the retina. There are 10 layers of the retina. Now, the layers are, number 1 is the internal limiting membrane, then the nerve fiber layer, ganglion cell layer, inner plexiform layer, inner nuclear layer, outer plexiform layer, outer nuclear layer, external limiting membrane, photoreceptor layer, that is the rods and the cones layer, and retinal pigment epithelium. This order is from inside outwards. That means internal limiting membrane is the innermost layer and retinal pigment epithelium is the outermost layer. Now, this retinal pigment epithelium, it is a sheet of melanin containing cells which lies between the choroid and the neural portion. Neural portion means the rest 9 layers are also known as the neural portion. Now, this layer's importance is that it prevents the scattering of the light within the eyeball and they assist in turnover of rods and cones. Retinal pigment epithelium, it is a single layer of hexagonal cells which are packed with pigment granules that give the retina its pinkish hue. So, the retina's pinkish hue is from the retinal pigment epithelium layer. It supplies blood for the outer two-thirds of the retina. It resynthesizes photosensitive pigments. It trims the outer segments of the cones and the rods, and it keeps the retina attached via a sucking force. These are the functions. Now, as I told earlier, the neural portion of the retina are the rest 9 layers. They convert light into electrical impulses to be transmitted to the thalamus. Neural portion is soft, translucent and purple due to the presence of rhodopsin, which becomes opaque and bleached when exposed to light. Now we have the different sorts of layers, the ganglion cell layer, which is highly concentrated in the macula and it is less in the fovea. We have the bipolar cell layer. We have bipolar cone bipolar cells and rod bipolar cells. They receive information from their respective photoreceptors. And we have the photoreceptor layer, which is comprising of the rods and the cones that converts light into receptor potential. Rods are responsible for identification of shapes and movement and the discrimination between black and white, and are dense at the peripheral of the retina. Cones are responsible for color vision. This is very important. They are important for responsible for color vision and for high visual acuity in bright light. They are highly concentrated in the fovea at the center of the macula lutea. Now photoreceptor cells transfer light and images to nerves that convert images to electrical impulses that are sent to the occipital lobe of the brain and translated into images that we see. Cones, they are concentrated at macula and the fovea. Now they are responsible for central fine detailed vision, responsible for ability to see color. They require good light to work effectively. So they are mainly responsible for daylight vision. And rods, they require little light to work effectively, and at night gives a primary greyish image. They do not give clear vision. They are relatively sensitive to light. So they are responsible mainly for the peripheral vision. So rods are responsible for peripheral vision and cones are responsible for the central vision. Now the photochemical reactions in the retina. The outer segment of photoreceptors contain photochemicals, inner segment contains nucleus, synaptic body and other organelles. Photochemicals are light sensitive chemicals that decompose on exposure to light and excite nerve fibers leading from eye to central nervous system. Rhodopsin is present in rods, scotopsin and 11-cis retinal composite. Iodopsin is photochemical pigment of cones, photopsin and 11-cis retinal composite. Now here you can see the visual cycle. Rhodopsin cycle. Rhodopsin under the influence of light converts to pre-lumirhodopsin, then lumirhodopsin to metarhodopsin 1, then metarhodopsin 2, then opsin, then rhodopsin. Metarhodopsin 2 then converts also to all transretinal vitamin A isomerase action 11-cis retinal rhodopsin. You should learn this visual cycle. What is visual cycle? In the retina of living animals, under the constant light stimulation, a steady state must exist between the rate at which the photochemicals are bleached and the rate at which they are regenerated. So this rate should be equal. There should be a steady state between the bleaching of the photochemicals and regeneration of the photochemicals. They should be equal. This equilibrium between the photo decomposition and regeneration of visual pigment is referred to as visual cycle. Now here there is a pictorial diagram of the visual pathway. From eye you can see the impulses are going then via the optic nerve to the optic chiasma, then the optic tract, then they are going to the occipital cortex. So what is this thing? Impulses from retina pass to the optic nerve, then to the optic chiasma. Fibers from the nasal half of retina cross to the opposite side. As you see, nasal half of the retina fibers are crossing to the opposite side. Then it goes to the optic tracts and then synapse. In lateral geniculate body, then geniculocalcarian fibers pass through optic radiation or geniculocalcarian tract. Then it goes to primary visual cortex in calcarine fissure or medial aspect of the occipital lobe. In short, you can see this: optic nerve, then optic chiasma, optic tract, lateral geniculate body, optic radiations, and then finally to the visual cortex. Now you should know in the lesions of visual pathway what abnormality occurs. If there is any lesion in the optic nerve, it is characterized by complete blindness on the affected side. As you can see, this one is black, left side is damaged, so left side is black, right side is okay. Absence of light reflex on ipsilateral and consensual light reflex on contralateral side. Near reflex is present. Now the cause may be traumatic optic avulsion, acute optic neuritis, optic atrophy. Now if there is lesion in the proximal part of the optic nerve, what happens? There is ipsilateral blindness on the affected side. Also there is absence of light reflex on the ipsilateral side and consensual on the contralateral side, but near reflex is present. Now next you can see the optic chiasma. If there is lesion in the optic chiasma, what happens? If there is central lesion, central optic chiasma lesion, there is bitemporal hemianopia, as there is crossing of the nasal fibers of the eye, opposite eye, bitemporal hemianopic paralysis of pupillary reflex, and it also leads to partial descending optic atrophy. The causes may be pituitary tumors, craniopharyngioma and suprasellar aneurysm. Now if there is lateral portion lesion in the optic chiasma, what happens? There is binasal hemianopia. You can see the mid portions are the shaded, that means which is nasal portions. Binasal hemianopia, binasal hemianopic paralysis of pupillary reflex also leads to partial descending optic atrophy. Cause may be internal carotid aneurysm, lesions causing distension of third ventricle. Now if we have lesion in the optic tract, after chiasma comes the optic tract. If there is lesion in optic tract, what happens? There is incongruous homonymous hemianopia, contralateral hemianopia of pupillary reaction or Wernicke's reaction, partial descending or atrophic optic atrophy. Now, what are the causes? Usually there is syphilitic meningitis, tuberculosis or tumors of the optic thalamus. Now, if there is lesion in the lateral geniculate body, we have incongruous homonymous hemianopia, sparing of light reflex or pupillary reflex and partial descending optic atrophy. Now optic radiation, the lesion depends on, the manifestation depends on the site of the lesion. Involving of total optic radiation means complete homonymous hemianopia, it is more congruent. And if there is involvement of part of optic radiation in temporal lobe, then we have superior quadrantic hemianopia. This is also known as pie in the sky. And if there is involvement of part of optic radiation in parietal lobe, we have inferior quadrantic hemianopia. You see, just a quadrant is involved in one eye. So it is inferior quadrantic hemianopia, it is pie on the floor. So pie in the sky and pie in the floor. Now, if there is lesion in the visual cortex, then we have homonymous hemianopia, sparing the macula. The cause may be occlusion of posterior cerebral artery. Now in tip of the occipital cortex lesion, what happens? There is homonymous hemianopia and there is involvement of macula also. It is usually caused in head injury, gunshot injury involving the tip of the cortex. Now we have three-part system hypothesis of visual perception. Three-part means first system, there is movement, location and spatial organization. Second is color perception and third is your shape perception. You can see this. We have the magnocellular and the parvocellular portion. The magnocellular is involved in your movement, location, spatial organization and color, whereas this parvocellular portion is involved in color and shapes. We have four types of sense: light sense, form sense, contrast sense and color sense. Light sense means facility to perceive light on all gradations of intensity. Form sense means to perceive the shape of the object in the outer world, maximum at fovea and cones. Contrast sense is ability to perceive slight changes in the luminance between regions not separated by sharp borders. And color sense is ability to distinguish between different colors as excited by light of different wavelengths. Now we have different theories of color perception. You have Young, Helmholtz theory and Hering's theory. Disorders of color perception. There are three fundamental colors, red, green and blue. So there may be total color blindness or partial color blindness. If we have red green color blindness, means the patient is dichromacy, protanopia and deuteranopia. He can't visualize red green. Anomalous trichromacy means both this red, green and blue all are problematic. And blue yellow dichromacy or anomalous trichromacy. So you should know just the names. Now binocular single vision. What is binocular single vision? It is the coordinated use of both eyes so as to produce a single mental impression. It is the conditioned reflex which is acquired during first 6 months after birth. At birth there is no central fixation and eyes move randomly. In a just newborn you can see the eyes are moving randomly. There is no central fixation. But by 6 months the macular stereopsis and accommodation reflex is fully developed. And by 6 years of age full visual acuity is attained and binocular single vision is developed. So by 6 years of age the children attain visual acuity like that of an adult, that is 6/6 vision, and the binocular single vision is well developed. What are the prerequisites of development of binocular single vision? We have motor mechanism and sensory mechanism. Motor mechanism means straight eye with precise coordination for all direction of gazes, and sensory mechanism means reasonably clear vision in both eyes so that similar images are present to each retina. So ability of visual cortex to promote binocular singular vision is a mental process. Now grades of binocular vision. There are 3 grades, grade 1, 2 and 3. Grade 1 is simultaneous perception. That means power to see 2 dissimilar objects simultaneously. In the lower diagram you can see there is a cage, and second diagram you can see there is a bird, and a bird is inside a cage. So simultaneously you can see a cage also and a bird also. Now grade 2 is fusion, the power to superimpose 2 incomplete but similar images to form one complete image. Here you can see a rabbit and another rabbit with a bunch of flowers. So after fusing you can see a rabbit which is holding a bunch of flowers. So this is fusion. So power to superimpose 2 incomplete but similar images to form one complete image. And grade 3 is stereopsis, that is ability to perceive the depth, how much depth, whether it is shallow, whether it is deep. Here you can see, actually this is a 2-dimensional picture, a bucket filled of water here, and in the thing one is half filled bucket. Here you can see one is empty bucket and one is half filled. Now here you can see this half filled bucket. You can know that how much is the level of the water. So you can perceive the depth of the water in this bucket. So this is grade 3 binocular vision, that is the stereopsis is present. That's all for today. Thank you.